Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to BDE. Today we will be talking about the upcoming armory that we have going. We'll be talking about the top 8 in the meta that happened at Birmingham and what we think the meta will be throughout the upcoming events like Las Vegas for Nationals in the Calling and Battle Hardened. And then we'll also be talking about the Bright Lights new set coming out by Flesh and Blood. They have a new sealed type event. And we'll be talking about what we think will be coming in the set and maybe even a little bit about the lore. So thank you for tuning in and joining us for our second episode of Big Deck Energy.
Nice.
Yeah, it looks like there's some exciting stuff coming up.
Oh yeah, Bright Lights looks pretty crazy.
Cliff, you think Data Doll's gonna be adult this set or what?
All I'm saying, if there's not an adult Data Doll this set, there's gonna be issues.
Fair enough. All right, well, since we actually have an armory on the day we're recording today, we're doing it beforehand. We got some stuff going on later in the day, but Tyler will be there today. Who are you going to be playing, Ty? Is it CC Blitz today?
Yeah, we'll be playing mostly CC this month, just practicing for Vegas. And honestly, I'm kind of torn between two decks. One being Icelander, the other being Lexi. I'm gonna probably just practice with Icelander. I don't necessarily think I need the practice with Lexi right now. Trying to figure out these new matchups with Icelander though has been fun and been something I need to practice on. I think I have the most time under my belt with that deck, so I feel like I'm probably just more comfortable on that deck if I go to Vegas. So.
Factual. Have you made any tweaks to it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the obvious one is with the Warmonger's Diplomacy. That card is just really good into some matchups, and it also, is your typical pitch for three and block for 3.
Yeah. Being an action blocking for 3 is huge.
Yeah. Yeah, some of the other tech is, your typical Lexi stuff, like Icebind and the other, freeze hero. What is it? Encase, I think. Yeah.
Yep. Encase. Yep.
Yeah, I never really was a fan of those, but I mean, it seems strong. I know a lot of Lexis though are playing the trench now. So
yes.
You encase them, they just go okay, trench it away for a free resource, and it doesn't stop their turn anymore.
Yep.
So I don't know.
That's
I'm
interesting.
thinking about actually cutting the Icebind because maybe the 3 encase is fine. For me, catch a Lexi that's not playing the trench or something.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm playing around with a few things though.
You gonna go with the somewhat Bolander mid, like in between?
Yeah.
build?
Well, so I saw Rhea. Her list had the Raging Onslaught for the Wounded Bulls.
I saw that.
For the extra block,
Yes.
Is it a 3 block over?
Yep.
2?
It's a vanilla 7 pitch for 3, but it blocks for 3. So
It's nice with Fighting Findels though, just because. Well, you would still run Fighting Findels.
that's an auto include.
Yeah.
I don't
just for the life gain.
Yeah. And what you do, so what you do in the Lexi matchup, I think, you just cut all of your physical attacks because if they ever codex you and you don't have an arsenal,
you're stuck.
You're stuck with a red in arsenal that you then maybe don't have the resources to pitch, or that last blue you have is now you have to get rid of that red, leaving you again without an arsenal. It becomes really messy when you So I like cut cards like Enlightened Strike and Scar for Scar.
Yep.
It's not in the deck anymore. But I don't know. We'll see. Those are all really good against Dromai. So if I see a lot of Dromai, that could be an issue.
And she has been representing somewhat.
I know it. Yeah. Yeah, I know it.
It's hard to say.
Have we been seeing a lot more Dromais in the field?
I mean, since Old Hymns come out, that's one of her worst matchups. So
Yeah, that's true.
She hasn't top 8'd much though. Recently, has she?
No, she hasn't. I mean, she's had good representation,
That's
and decent
that's
win
Dromai.
rate.
That's
but
always Dromai.
yeah,
though.
she can never finish. She can never finish. That's the
Can't
thing.
convert.
So, who do you think we'll see at our armory? Our armories have a very different type of meta.
It's very defined.
Yeah. I guess it depends on who shows up, If it's just kind of the regular guys, I'm sure we'll see some ninja stuff. Maybe, Lexi. I know Nathan's probably playing Lexi or Warrior.
Yep.
If he's going to bring his brother, I think it sounds like he's on Dromai. So that's going to be awesome to have another Dromai, back in the shop to practice against.
We recently had a Dromai player that was pretty good. Started playing the game.
Yep.
But he hasn't been there for a while.
Yeah, we miss him. It was nice having him around. Also, I mean, Dromai is just such a crazy deck to play against. There's just a lot of moving parts, and you have to kind of really understand what you're doing against that deck to beat it sometimes.
I mean, it's almost like you're trying to manage like an actual like board state
Oh, yeah.
versus
Yep,
just
yep.
turn by turn.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And it was awesome, because I played a lot of Icelander, and back in the day, everyone thought it was kind of an auto loss for Icelander playing against a Dromai.
Dromai. Yep.
But I would even say cards like, this is funny because I've always like stood by this. Cards like Frosting can you just ping their Ashwing in the while they're attacking to close the chain. If you kill their dragons at any point while they're attacking, the chain closes. So a Frosting is an actual value card in that matchup. And I always loved to just Arsenal a Frosting. Otherwise, otherwise you never would want to Arsenal your Frosting. It's like the worst card in Arsenal, right?
Yeah.
But it's like it actually has some play into that matchup, and yeah, it's a fun matchup. So it'll be sweet if we have another Dromai player back.
Absolutely. Well, that gives us a good chance to dive right into the meta that we're actually going to see for Nationals in the calling there. We just got done with the calling Birmingham, and the top 8 was an Icelander that took first, with Pablo Pintor placing second, which is another great finish for him.
Yeah, on Bravo.
On Bravo.
Yeah.
And, I've heard some people saying, like, it's an off-brand Bravo, or old him. I mean, it's just
Sure. Yeah.
pretty much there, but... I mean, they were
you
using...
see the Titan's Fist and you see the shield and stuff. Just the two block temper shield.
Yep.
For the Lexi matchup. Probably.
And I mean, hey, and Rampart's really not that viable at the moment.
not without Crown.
Yeah.
Crown makes that card
So much better.
Yeah, right. You don't want to be
Absolutely.
pitching the blue to block one. Not
Then-
replacing it with the
yep.
Crown is
It's
that's bad.
ridiculous.
bad
I mean,
blocks.
unless you have unmovable, but at that point, you're already paying.
Yeah. You would need then I think an extra card.
Yep.
But yeah.
And then we had 3 Bravos that were in the top 8.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah, well, the matchup's good into Lexi. If a bunch of people are playing Lexi and you're playing cards like Crippling and Spinal.
Yeah, Crippling, Spinal. You got that new Starstruck that works
sure.
out great.
Yeah.
What's
What
the
does
other
that
one?
one even do?
Starstruck?
Yeah.
Has a crush effect.
Pull that shit up.
Yeah,
Bailey.
pull that shit up, Bailey. I can't even say it word for word.
It's I know it's a 10 attack, 6 cost, or might even be 7 cost still. But if it deals 4, obviously crush effect. But I think they can only play actions or non-attack actions.
No, it's something with the cost, I thought.
Oh yes, you
Or
can't
the
attack
power.
unless it's double the power.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, when this deals 4 or more damage to a hero, the only attacks they may play or activate during the next turn are attacks with base power greater than the damage dealt this way.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you have
Okay.
to, it's just another card you have to block. as a
Yeah,
Lexi
that
player.
does seem really good.
Yep. And honestly, I don't know if
Even the
Pablo
Unity effect on block.
Getting the
The size
Seismic
of
Surge
and just set
lets
up
you
the next
crippling
turn,
for 2 blues.
Yeah,
man.
makes world of
Yeah, man.
difference.
Yeah, that's real.
That's wild.
Was Pablo playing the Warmongers card?
I don't think he was.
I don't know if his list was up
I don't
anywhere.
think he was.
Because I feel like a Bravo could just kind of slot that in for free, maybe.
When I was kind of looking into it, I looked at his list and I don't think he had it, but he had a lot of interesting things in that deck.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting things.
Yeah, it's cool to see Bravo have a resurgence, the OG, Welcome to Wraith hero coming back with a vengeance. Which leads to another top 8. Oh, actually, we had, 2 of them?
2
2
Katsus.
Katsus in there, so...
That seems
He
wild.
did have 3. He did have 3
We've got some
Warmongers.
Welcome to Wraith action in the top 8.
After,
man.
I mean, Katsu just not being able to convert for so long, there was always... you'd see him here and there at these events, and...
It was Oldham, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it stopped him.
Even with Icelander, I guess I'm not really sure how the community feels about that matchup, but I never liked playing into Dylan at the shop.
No.
With
No.
playing Icelander and he's on Katsu. I was like, okay, here we go. That
Dylan-
was a close.
Dylan's our big
Close game.
Katsu guy, so we have a lot of insight to some of these Katsu players, and I was looking at some of their lists, and they were just, they were mid-range. That's
Yeah.
all they were doing.
Yeah.
They were just playing mid,
A lot of
blocking,
mid-range
and-
Katsus.
Yeah, and it's good to see them coming back. And a lot of people say, why wouldn't you just play Phi? Because then you can have those big turns with Phi where you can overtake tempo. But
Maybe you're
I don't
just
know.
better into the
I don't know,
field
the
or
mid-range
something.
That's true.
Katsu, just the consistency, being able to tutor up the pieces you need even when you need them.
He also presents a lot more damage now, like Phi does. On his
Oh,
big
he
turns,
does.
it's it can be 20-something damage, right? I mean,
he does.
Yeah.
Because you
So-
still run all your Art of Wars. You got your Ancestral Empowerments, and you run your Mask.
Yeah.
So you're getting those on hits. You still want to run the Whelming Gust Wave combo to get that
Yep.
that go. Bonds of Ancestry only hits anything with the last name Gustwave in it. So you can play either of those two cards, Descendant or Whelming, and still get the on-hit triggers for all the combo.
Yep. I've always been a big fan of the new card, was it Be Like Water? You can
Yes.
change
Yeah,
Change
just
the name
to
for
what
one
you need.
resource.
Yep. Even
For
like
one
a,
resource.
I was like, even telling Dylan one day, it's like, even the blue seems really good. He's like, yeah, you just it always forces a card from your hand.
Okay. Sorry, my dog's in here with us and he's being a goofball. Continue.
Yeah,
you just
well, Be Like Water is kind of one of those cards where you can't really let it hit. You know, it's
Yeah.
always at the start of their chain. They get to kind of have the choice of changing it to whatever name they need, and yeah,
No, it just
Seems-
seems like a really utility-wise really good for the deck.
yeah. They got a lot of upgrades with outsiders, but it's cool to finally like see the impact of those ninja cards.
Yeah,
You know,
it's just in general seeing a lot of these Welcome to Wraith heroes coming around again.
Yeah.
You know.
well, we have one Welcome to Wraith hero that still needs some help, and that's Savage Lands, right? Well, once we go to Savage Lands, it'll be Rhinar
whole
City.
world, yeah, a whole different world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wonder if
hold
they're
up.
gonna.
Let's not talk too much shit about Reinhardt with Cliff here.
Oh yeah, where is Cliff? Is he sleeping?
Nope, I'm here.
Also in the top 8, we had one of the newcomers, Uzuri. Not one of the newest, but still new, I would say, in the sense. I think she's always gonna be a showing in the top 8. I think she can kind of fill that void for Oldhim.
Yeah.
She can be defensive and still.
Yeah, I feel like you're right. I think Azuri's kind of a hero that's going to be here to stay. I also think it's a deck that really depends on like pilot skill, right? You can make the deck kind of whatever playstyle you want to.
True.
And that's another hero that I've been trying to learn playing against Azuri, and it's always a
hard.
damned if you do, damned if you don't.
It's
type of
hard.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you block it out, and they just don't switch something
Yeah,
out,
it's like
or
these
you're stuck
weird-
overblocking.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's like,
It's almost playing Dory. Playing against Dory.
yeah, you're eking out these weird turns of like value, or trying to, and then they also are too, and all their frailties really, really help.
Oh yes. The fact that it's bogey. The fact that it's you can either play the stealth way where you're just sitting there and constantly trying to push on hit triggers, or you can still play defensively while still pushing your CNCs and being able to retract those with the codexes is unreal.
Yeah, Codex is. I mean, we've all kind of
it's
everyone's
such a
in agreement.
bonkers
That card is just great, right?
You can't ban that card either because it's what honestly makes Rangers.
I hope they don't ban
they,
that
they
card.
shouldn't.
It really is the help.
I do
that
see it, though.
All these Rangers needed to get off the ground. And it just
Absolutely. That's the card that
happens
does
to be
it.
a really good card.
That's
for
what card does. I
the
mean,
other
that card
classes
does
that
it.
can play it.
For
I
all
do
of them.
see a future though where if it does become a problem, it's a pretty clear choice for them, and we've known that LSS. They really are not scared to ban cards, you know?
No,
So-
they definitely are.
I feel like that
not.
card's just going to forever be on the chopping block, you know?
It'll be like every BNR announcement. We crossing our fingers,
Yeah.
hoping they don't have
As
that on the
Ranger
list.
players and
yeah.
yeah, Azuri players, sure. One Azalea though, huh? One Azalea squeaked in too. It looks like.
Yes,
Yeah,
one
that's-
Azalea did. I didn't really look at that list either, but I mean, she's always been a viable deck since the upgrade.
Yeah, is weird, man. After I like decked out the Azalea deck, I got the extended art cold foil, hero.
Everything.
I got the gold foil death dealer. The cold foil.
Snappies.
The skulls. I
Yeah.
mean, even the bullseyes. I mean, I finally got everything, and then I just went totally off the deck. It's just sad. It's still there, sleeved
Yeah,
up
she's
and
still
ready
making
to
a
go,
comeback.
but let me show
It's-
that. Leave it open.
I mean the Azalea list. It just looks like a pretty standard Azalea list that a lot of people have been running these last couple months since Outsiders.
Could be a good time to run her if Dromai. If there's less Dromai now, the matchup seemed unwinnable.
Yeah.
I think it was a big reason of why I was kind of off the deck.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of us just trying to go tall and push those on hits with the lace with blood rods, the frailties, the inertias.
Yeah.
And they're still running their Bolton shots for those little bit of go wide and
Even with the Bravos.
Hi.
Oh, sorry. What's up, Cliff?
I don't know
Forget
if you
Cliff's
saw
here.
that question in the Discord ad, but what do you think for Hack to Reality?
Hack to Reality Azalea.
Yeah, that also I feel like another matchup too. If you ever run into a Prism, that's probably going to be just a rough day for you as Azalea.
Yeah.
The Hack to Reality
But-
gives you a little bit of a leeway there, because then you can
Yeah.
you can throw in your battering bolts, and if you really want to, you can throw in the Death Touch for poppers, or you can just do Hack to Reality. You just double buff and then hit them with a Dominated Arrow, and that allows you to remove one of their bigger auras, allies, or dragons, depending on who you're in.
Yeah, Hack to
Absolutely.
Reality seems like a sweet card. It's like a cool tech card, you know.
Yeah, there was a lot of those really cool, just kind of like niche cards in Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
It's-
What is it? It's majestic too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Majestic.
Yellow Majestic.
Yeah.
Weird Yellow Majestic.
I know.
Match play this next meta season.
What's up?
Mischievous Meeps, that's gonna see a lot of play once this.
Yeah, the
Shout
I don't
out
know
to
if it's
Tanner.
gonna see a lot
Shout out
of
to
play,
Tanner.
but that's, I mean,
That's a
the
card for
Benji
Tanner, if I
players
don't
are
see
very
it. Oh, yeah.
excited about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good card, and I see now after they've come out with this set why they have that card in the set.
Well, I was playing against Briar the other day and
She was running it.
hitting you with Mischievous Meeps
Oh,
on a channel turn. I'm like, oh, this is wonderful.
5
This is
for
just-
0
This is-
or
well, no,
one.
It's one, but it's just another snatch, right?
Yeah.
It's,
So-
And I mean,
it's so
Briar
good.
just loves all those
It has the natural go again.
card draw cards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that deck can be ridiculous too. Can we please just push her to the top at one of these upcoming events? Just, I don't even care about Briar. Just get Rosetta out of here.
Yeah.
See, I mean that's also. I mean, we don't
It's
know
going
what's
to
gonna.
happen, right?
We don't know what's gonna happen at Worlds or Nationals. We got Nationals coming up. That's 20 or 200 points, right? Correct. And then Icelander goes from, what is she at, 5? Or is she at 700?
I don't know. I'm actually.
Icelander could be pushing close to LL here if she wins her calling, wins Nationals. You never know.
Yeah.
Bailey, do you pull that shit up?
What are we pulling up? Are we pulling up?
Pulling up the LL points. Let's see
Yeah.
what they're at. I forget what their Living Legend points are at because Icelander could be coming up
The
soon.
next one to go is
762.
Next one's up
and
to-
then
I mean,
Icelander.
Holy crap, she's way closer.
Yeah,
than I
she's
thought.
got.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
she's done
she-
120
Damn,
just
that
this
makes
season.
me want to play her more.
Just because
in
she can be.
Vegas.
That's
yeah,
what
it
it
could
is.
be my last time to like play her.
Because
I
you
mean,
got,
dude.
how much is Nationals? It's 100 points, and then Worlds is
Nats
3.
is Nats is 100. So is the calling
No, Nats are 20.
with a lower
you're
player
right.
cap. Yep.
You're right.
Yeah, no, they changed that not too long ago.
That's right.
So I mean, we really just need. All she has to do is win. She just has to win a Pro Quest. So all you Briar players out there, please start playing your ass off at these events.
If y'all gotta start winning some fucking events, get her out of here.
It's crazy. I don't know. But we could see both those heroes LL this year potentially. I don't know. And then we got the next one with Dash, and she's about to get a
Dash is-
revamp.
Dash is getting
Yeah,
up
it's a
there.
good segue. We could kind of move into the next
That-
part of our episode.
Yeah, that leads us right into bright lights.
This is where this is Cliff's time.
It's Cliff's time to shine, baby.
But yeah.
Cliff, why don't you lead us on this segment and you give us your initial thoughts on Bright Lights?
Okay.
Him and I are gonna have different thoughts, I
My,
think.
my first bright thoughts coming into this set were when I saw the equipment that you're able to upgrade.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
just think that is such a cool concept, and I'm so happy that they're doing that. Especially
Absolutely.
paired with another mech who is able to have some form of interaction with his banish zone. Just able to get those cards that normally when you banish off the top, they just go away. Well, with him, you banish for go again, and then you have the pieces you need in order to make yourself even harder to kill.
That's
Yeah,
true.
It
I
does.
don't know what the chest piece, the glove, or the boots are going to look like, but if they're going to be comparable to upgrading a helmet to have 3 temper and give you an intellect whenever you equip another mech piece, that seems very viable.
Yes, that kind of piqued my interest. I wasn't really into this set when I first heard about it, and then I started reading Tekla and just his art's amazing. He looks so badass with
Yeah, I
both
think
of his
who was
metal
it in
arm
the
sets.
Discord compared him to he looks like the Howard Stark of
Yes.
Flesh and Blood.
Yes.
He really does.
Yeah.
He does, and You know,
Getting some Iron Man shit up in here.
Well, yeah, you're building the suit, right, and everything.
Yeah.
that
totally
kind
get
of that kind of leads me into the lore almost. I'm a big lore guy throughout the podcast, I would say, but it kind of leads into his name alone, Teklo Industries. So he's definitely the CEO or something of the whole industries, and they have many mines and stuff, and that would leads into this armor as well. As if you read into it, there's a type of ore in the middle of Metrix that deflects arcane. So that kind of explains why.
Seriously?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that like all the pieces have arcane?
Yes.
On them? No way.
Yes. So
See, I
they have
didn't know
special
that.
armor. So we could see a lot more pieces coming in with
Wow.
arcane barrier, and then on top of their equipment with 3 temper for the base head.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
so
that was
strong.
the-
What is that? 3,
upgrade.
2, and 1, right?
Yeah.
That's 6 block. On the
Yeah.
head? 6 block on the headpiece.
5 piece. Or yeah, 6.
3, 2, and 1, right?
Yeah, yeah. What were you gonna say,
Wow.
Cliff?
So what I was gonna say is, what I'm thinking we're gonna see is that finally, even though Teklo has the ability for banish interaction just written on his hero ability, it just comes free with playing with him. It wouldn't shock me to see the fabled or maybe like a majestic item that gives you the opportunity to maybe play an attack action out of your banish zone. Just because of how fast the boost mechs chew through their deck, I feel like they've got to have some way to recur it. Or since there's really the only defensive heroes left in this lineup are Zuri, Bravo if you build them that way, and then Ice.
Yeah,
I mean,
I wonder what happens if you do lose the piece,
There's
though.
just not
Yeah.
a great fatigue list into mechs right now with Oldhim gone.
That's the thing too, is like the mech though, the Terminator tank, they don't need the full amount of pieces to run.
Oh, I thought you had to like assemble every.
Nope, not every
Okay,
piece.
see.
You only need 1 piece for the actual attack to trigger.
For-
And then
for
if you have
the
2, it builds up to
construct
gains another on-hit trigger. It costs 3 less.
Ah.
If you have 3, it gains more. If
Okay.
you have 4,
That's
it
how
gains
you
plus
get-
3 damage.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that one.
that's how that all goes about with the tank. So I don't think it's the end of the world, but
Should we read? Should we
Yeah.
read some of these
Yeah,
cards?
yeah,
Let's
yeah,
read
okay.
Terminator
That's what
Tank.
that is.
So Terminator Tank, it's a 6 cost red attack action. Comes in for 6 power, 3 defense. If you have 1 or more Evos equipped, this gets, when this hits a hero, they discard a card. 2 or more, it costs 3 resource less to play. 3 or more, it gains overpower, and 4 or more, it gains plus 3 power.
so it's coming in for
So
9
on the top
hit.
end, if you have everything equipped, like it's coming in for 9 with overpower,
For 3.
and you're playing it for 3,
Ooh.
which
Is that it? Wait, is it an ally or is it just an action?
It's
an
just an action.
Okay,
It's
so it's just an attack. Wow.
So I feel like that's what you want to be pitch stacking early. It's tough if you boost them though,
Yeah.
if you're going for the boost build. But then again, I don't know how they're truly gonna work the Evo like heads and equipments into that, because Teklo Vassen's ability is you pay 3 at instant, get to move your Evos, equip them, and then you also get to draw a card
From your hand.
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
one of the new things I know about. I didn't read too much about Bright Lights. I kind of tried to save it, honestly, for the pod. But I heard a lot of people talking about how armor can be in your deck now.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
How cool is that?
that
Cliff, what do you
is
think about that?
wild.
I think it's another really interesting like mechanic.
Yeah, definitely
Because,
some
you know,
cool design
you start
space.
off with your the base armor. We've seen the base head. Once again, I don't know what the base chest piece, gloves, or the boots look like or what they do. But you start off with your base head that, you know, in a pinch you can block, and then
Well, there's
if you
2.
vanish off that piece, you know, you're kind of screwed.
There's
Yeah,
2
what were the
pieces though. There's
2 that we
some
saw?
that have blade break right away that have 1 block. Otherwise, there's others that do not have any block.
Yeah, so there's
And those are the proto.
the Teklo base equipment, all is 1 block, blade break. What were the other ones?
Oh, jeez, you want to know what that makes
They
me
were
think
proto.
of? T-Bone.
Yeah, T-Bone's gonna be disgusting.
It's gonna be boning people
Yeah.
for real.
Yeah,
Oh no.
being a warrior and you see that card drops down, you want to punch yourself so bad playing.
What? Oh god, I can't even think of what that card is. but there's a mechanologist attack that if you've boosted equipment defending that card's chain like have -1 while defending.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember the name of it. I know which one you're talking. It like halves your block on your equipment. After
it manipulates the block on the equipment somehow.
it's ridiculous. It's so Joe played that against me in the skirmish and got me on early turns where I wanted to block and take tempo, and he hit me with that, and I'm like, I have to sit here and eat damage, otherwise I can't block with my equipment and waste 4 life. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, a lot of those mechs have a lot of those just kind of weird little pieces that will like mess with your equipment. Or what's the other one? They can like rip cards out of your hand that you have to block with.
Pulse Wave Harpoon.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that card is nasty.
That card's good.
Is such a good card.
Yeah,
It's-
it kind of it's weird.
I love doing a pulse wave right before I hit my maximum on dash. That just feels.
It feels like a pipe dream. A little bit.
I mean, you
You
did
can
fairly
do it for sure though.
you
Yeah.
did fairly
for sure.
well at our last Arteon Cliff, and there was people talking about you.
Dirty bubble.
I know, and you were still getting turns off where you were hitting 26 damage, weren't you? With your maximum velocity, you got it off how many times?
Best I did that day, let's see. The first combustible was 10, the second one came in for 7, so 17. The jumpstart came in for 8, 25. Max. So I had a 40 damage turn
Jesus.
that day.
Yeah. It's possible.
Oh my
And
gosh.
that I'm really
That's-
interested to
I
see.
mean, Cliff just has this dash list figured out.
Oh, he
though.
does. He
It's
does.
insane.
He spent some time on this deck, and we've all helped him revamp this deck to kind of become this monster that we're all afraid of now.
I'm a little scared.
When Dad says it's game time, it's batten down the hatches and try to turtle up because she's coming in hot, baby.
And that's the thing about the meta too, is like you can never put Dash out of the meta. She always creeps in somehow,
It does
some
seem
way.
like it. Yeah.
She's always there.
The
You
deck
can
has always
never
been a
counter
solid.
out.
Well, I don't know if it's always been a solid
They've
choice.
never been
It
like a
just-
great choice, but they've never been like a bad choice
Yeah.
either. Like they're the true kind of like B to C tier.
Yeah.
Like they're always just kind of
smallest
at the
card
spot.
pool too, right? I
Yes,
Yeah.
smallest card
Here-
pool.
Here's the other thing that I find very shocking about Dash lists is I have a really hard time finding anyone else who's doing what I'm doing and starting with the plasma mainline out.
Plasma mainline is a
Is
great
that the one
item.
that lets you add a steam counter to an item as it enters?
Yes.
You remove a steam counter off plasma when another item costs 2 or less, or I don't think it has to be, but just as another item enters the arena, you can move a steam counter onto it to give it an extra use, which it doesn't sound like a big deal. But then in practice, you get 4 turns out of a Tekla Pounder. You get 3 turns out of a Tekla Core.
Yes.
You get 5 turns
Yeah.
or 4 turns out of a red hyperdriver. 3 turns out of a yellow.
That-
I mean, just
the
getting extra
propagation of
turns.
resource you're able to maintain with Plasma Mainline is dumb.
Yeah, even
So
just
the first part of that dash list game plan is just trying to utilize Plasma Mainline and maybe try to build up some counters on Hanabi right away.
No, I agree.
Hanabi?
Yeah.
yeah, he's on Hanabi.
He's
now.
on Hanabi. He's been
Wait, why are
throwing.
we calling it Hanabi? Can we not all agree it's Hanabi? No.
I mean, it's
It's whatever Cliff says.
I suppose you're right. It is whatever.
I'm letting the Met player say it.
Cliff, how do you pronounce it?
I guess
Hanabi?
that depends on how I enunciate the
Hanabi?
damn it.
So when you picking up that Marvel Hanabi blaster?
He had to talk himself out of it yesterday.
That sounds
Yesterday, I'm not even gonna lie.
God damn it.
Let's. I know we talked a little bit about Terminator Tank. I just kind of want to go back to some of the spoiled cards. Let's go over the Evo Steel Soul Memory too. So that's the like super upgraded headpiece for the Evo equipment. So it's a 4 cost, and if you have a base head equipped, transform it into Evo Steel Soul Memory, then equip it. And when it transforms from or into an Evo with a different name, your hero gets +1 intellect until end of turn. Which already seems
Yeah.
Oh, you don't see that effect very much.
And
in
then
this.
it's
No.
a 3 block with temper.
It's
Holy shit.
stronger
Seems like a lot
Crown
of
of
value.
Providence.
Seems
They-
like a lot of
yeah.
value.
Yeah.
Mechs can be playing 5-card
And-
hands with
and-
ease.
And do we know exactly how to get that into
Here's
play yet,
my-
or is it you have to do it with
here's my view on
Teklovassen's
those.
ability?
I
Or?
think
I think
Teklovassen's ability.
Teklovassen's the only one that can play the Evo equipment.
Right.
Or I guess
Unless-
okay, so anyone else can
unless
play the
They're giving
Evos.
us some way for the other mechs to have some form of banished manipulation.
So I think any of the mechs can play the Evos, but Teklovassen's the only one that can play them from his banish zone.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So you're actually playing it as an item?
Yes, so
Yeah.
if you
Oh,
boost it,
oh.
you pay 3 on instant to instantly transform it from your banish zone if you end up doing it.
So new Data Doll just lets you just play all your Evos when you banish
All
them?
your evos, all your
Adult
items.
Data Doll, right?
Yeah.
So if
is
you-
he gonna be the item hero? They say
Data
there's an
does
item
not
one.
Run the Evos.
If you watch the like trailer for the set, when they show the heroes, like we know that we're getting a boost focused hero,
Yep.
which is Dash, the Evo focused hero, which is Teklovasid, and then an item focused hero. When they are running through the trailer, they don't show Data Doll. They show a new hero.
Okay.
That is true.
Okay.
They show some bots, which I mean you could see being Data Doll, but they don't really show too many bots. They show a newer hero, and it's just I love what they're doing with the trailers. It kind of gives you more sneak peeks into the set,
Yeah.
and you can kind of make more assumptions throughout
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's been definitely like a breath of fresh air in that regard. They never really used to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
It's cool to see them
I don't-
kind of
what's
step their game up a little
Crazy to me is what we knew what this set was going to be called months ago when James White
Did
was
we?
talking about
Yes.
finding a city with bright lights for the Pro
Oh,
Tour.
get the yeah.
Yeah.
They've been dropping
Yeah.
Weird,
hints.
God damn it. He
They
just
know what
laid
they're
it out there
doing,
for us
yeah.
all to
Oh,
see,
yeah.
dude.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
And-
no. I remember when he said that, too.
Yeah.
I think
Oh.
I was listening to Arsenal Pass, and Brendan Patrick even said like he was talking to James White, and he said, "So where's Worlds gonna be?" And he goes, "The city of bright lights."
Oh, that's
Literally,
awesome.
and it's like
Oh, that is awesome.
they drop hints, and we just completely
It just-
throw it over the top of our heads all the time.
That's so cool.
So that's what I love about this game too, is that they kind of let you in, they kind of give you insight, very discreetly though, and you gotta kind of figure it out.
And they're always doing shit that comes out of left field.
Yes.
It's like, Jesus, this everything.
Speaking of left field, where's my shadow mech, huh?
Oh gosh, that'd be bad.
That's
I
Teklovasen.
think everyone wants a Shadow Mech, right?
That'd be
The
amazing.
flavor of it seems cool.
That would be amazing.
Maybe
Yeah.
once they start diving
Wasn't that
into
just
mixing.
Data Doll?
Yeah.
Isn't Data Doll just a shadow mech, Cliff?
Maximum velocity move.
Cliff, isn't Data Doll just a Shadow Mech?
Yeah. What really sucks about Data Doll? She can't run the Evos.
No, I just mean like.
Why can't she run the
other
Evos?
ones are cost 2 or less. She only gets to bring back cost 2 or less items.
Oh.
Well, so the Evos aren't items though.
They're equipment.
They're equipment.
So that's why he's saying that she couldn't play them.
Also note that if we do receive an adult Data Doll, odds are good that she's still going to have that 3 intellect. I just don't think it's viable to pitch your 2 cards in hand to lay your headpiece down. I could be wrong.
No, you're not wrong. That seems
That's- I
terrible.
mean, how strong could it
That
be
is
though?
honestly a huge commitment.
Yeah.
Even just one turn of getting the Steel Soul Memory on her to get that 4-card hand, like how does that impact her? Even if it is just for one turn.
I would much rather see people trying to just boost out the stuff like Dissipation Shield or boost out her microprocessor or any of the other mech cards that give her some form of advantage when she's laying an attack or some form of defense. Like Dissipation Sphere, the Dissolution one.
Mhm.
There's honestly, if we do see a CC Data Doll, you're probably going to see Signal Jammer run.
She needs an
True.
item that just gives her an intellect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? Like.
Well, and that's where this you could say
Essentially,
this
that's what
helmet comes into play.
Microprocessor is doing.
Well, no, this is where that helmet comes into play because it gives you 1 intellect at the end of turn when you transform it.
It's too big of a commitment for her to run those.
I love that we're talking about strategy and fucking data. what even is this?
Well, how many
This is
months ago
odd.
were we having the same conversation about Azalea, though?
True.
That's true. Man.
We were like, no way she's gonna be a part of the meta. And I still, I'm sorry, Cliff. I still think after this, I don't think Data Doll is gonna be a huge part of the meta. But I think the other mechs absolutely will be.
Yeah.
Especially.
No, I agree with you. However, I also want you to understand if they do have an adult data doll, I'm gonna break that hero
Hold on.
faster than
Can-
anyone's ever broken something before.
Can we rewind to the part where you said you agree with me after this staunch defense of Data Doll?
So
No. I completely understand where everyone stands on Data Doll. Data Doll for most mech people is kind of like a pipe dream, where she's fun, she's super cool, but you know deep down that you're not ever gonna, take a top 8 or win a big event with her because of that 3 intellect.
That's the Timmy
True.
mind state, right? You just want to go see your deck work.
Yeah.
you don't care about wins. You just want to go see. You just want
Yeah.
your deck do the thing.
It
Yeah.
did the thing! It did the thing!
That's what I do.
Generic Briar, Sun's Kiss moves
I'm just there for a good time, baby.
I mean, hey, she does have a whole 2 living legend points.
This is true.
Dad,
This
that's
is true.
Too,
There's that out there.
Yeah, and it wasn't Cliff.
And I honestly think that each of these mechs are going to have their, you know how they say one's an item, one's a boost, one's a Evo base. I think they're all going to have their own kind of style play to them.
Yeah, well, we've seen the different borders, right? Of
Yes.
some of the cards. So we
Yes.
kind of have.
They've come from different cities in part.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
different sections in part of the city.
Yeah.
They have like the east side, west side, and
Oh, that's
the
awesome.
mining center, and it's wild. I love the lore in this game. LSS, if you want help, I will help you with lore. I love lore, and I love your guys' aspect in every way that you do it. So
Could also
Shout
send
out
us
you guys.
Could also send us a lore book to study up on.
I would
start
love
doing lore books for every set. That'd be amazing. And I don't
Or
know
just
what they
reprint
cost.
the first one and
True.
make
Give
it,
out more.
Yeah.
They're $800, $700
I've been
right
so
now.
close to buying one so many different times.
The art in them is so
Yep.
cool. It teaches you everything about behind the hero. It's amazing.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I think it really helps you almost define like how each hero could almost be built because they have their own types of style. But that's just my insight.
No, yeah. I mean, you're onto something there. It kind of gives you a deep dive into each class. Even,
Yes.
It tells you all the different classes. Kind of a sneak peek on what's to come. Everyone
Yes.
shouts from the rooftops about necromancers and
Yes.
alchemists. Like, eventually,
Eventually,
come
we
in.
will get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
They mention it inside the
I am
lore of
so
this new
ready
set.
for a necromancer class. I am so ready.
You're getting a bunch of mech support. How could you be ready for something else, Cliff?
You were just diving off mech to go into Riptide, and now what are you gonna do? I'm gonna see you playing mech again.
Bro, I'm floundering out here right now. I am floundering. I'm like a fish out of water. I've got my nose in everything.
I will say, like, when it was released, everyone was, like, so hyped that night and everything, and it was, like, my initial reaction was kind of like, oh, like, they're going to focus on one class. Like, I was
Yes.
very happy for our mech players. Like,
Yes.
Joe and
That's.
Cliff
I
and
mean,
stuff,
they
like-
have been kind of
They
just
needed
left
it.
to the wayside.
And it almost felt like a little bit, like they were kind of making up for that lack of mech support, maybe, which
When you're-
I'm not saying it doesn't
When
need
your
it, but-
best support set so far has been Dynasty,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
It'll
might
be,
need some help.
It'll be fun to also. This might be a good segue into the new kind of draft format, or not draft, but it's like a sealed
So
format.
limited, yeah.
Yeah, limited seal.
We never, most players, including myself, never. I've drafted Arcane once, unlimited, I think, in
Okay.
Mankato.
Yep.
Mhm.
So most players have never really like drafted or played sealed with an actual mech. So that could be.
Interesting.
I think it's a good. Also, mechs are a good learning point for like new players. It could really bring in new players to the game with it being kind of centralized on one hero or one class, and then you have the different branches and styles of mech that they're probably going to give us, which I think is another cool design.
It makes it
Yeah.
easier for people just to, get into the game about drafting even. I
Mhm.
mean, understanding draft. And just because you can draw every card out of the pack and it's not like you have to choose one side or the other like Monarch where you have to choose Shadow or Light. You can't really you can kind of pivot in pack 2, but if you try pivoting, it's hard because they need different generics.
Yeah. Bailey, your hands up.
Yeah, so before we get too far into it, what is the new limited format coming with the set?
So the new limited format is a sealed limited where you crack 3 packs and you can just shuffle them all together while choosing your hero and your weapon afterwards.
Crack, shuffle, play.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Jumpstart in Magic.
Yep.
It kind of gives you
It
that
really
feel.
is like that feel like just taking the 2 halves of your deck and
Yep.
here we go. And I think I think a format like this, like you were saying, especially for like the newer players, is really
Also,
good for the game.
the flavor of it, right? The mechs, right? A lot of people are into that kind of nerdy, like steampunky thing, you know.
Yeah.
So it could be just a
Could it be
very
me?
And the very interesting thing about it too is since they all have their own different type of play style, that'll help you lead into different heroes in the game. Where if you want to go boost with dash,
oh right,
Then you
like
go
if
aggro.
one's aggressive and one's
Tech
defensive.
Boston
sure.
could be definitely defensive
Yeah,
more.
right.
So you can get more into the guardian side of things. Where item is control, where you can go an illusionist
Yeah.
in your
That's
in your
I could
wizards.
really
Yeah.
see him being a very like control-y
Absolutely.
defensive kind of mech, which I think
Absolutely.
would be really cool.
Which I think is going to be really
Going
interesting.
Into that defensive Teklevasen, do you think we're gonna see a mech defense reaction?
I think we could start
I
seeing
think it's
some.
about time.
They have 0.
They
have
don't
0.
have any. They have dissipation shield, which prevents, but it's an item or like an aura type thing.
How do I not know these things?
What's the last time you picked up a mech to play?
Dude, I guess okay. To be fair, I think mech is probably the class that I have least
Studied or
played.
played.
And
I think
yeah.
a lot of people will say that.
Well, so which was also kind of going back to my initial reaction was not. I was like, oh, like this kind of going back to the Dust Till Dawn thing, where if you're not playing a Light and Shadow hero, the set maybe is not for you, and then you just don't buy the set.
Yeah.
and I think
That
that's
is-
okay.
Well, it is, but I think coming from a business side of things, like LSS, like I love the game and I love where this game is going, and I actually do believe that it's going to be here for the long haul. But that is an issue that they have to figure out, where if they are printing just 1 or 2 classes, or in this case 1 class in a set, it leaves a lot of players out in the rain, really, that
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
aren't playing mech, and then they just aren't going to open the set. Your collectors are going to be fine; they're going to open the set regardless,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So that's not an issue, but that is one of the glaring things with the design and kind of Commander-esque style of Fab, I think. And
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they
think that's
released their
where it gets a
product.
little tough
Yeah.
for them.
It's gonna be interesting to see how they figure it out. You know, the supplementary sets are kind of their way right now, which
Yeah.
kind of leads into the new. What is it called? An expanded slot in the in the
Yeah, I
pack?
think
set,
it's an
yes.
expansion slot. Yeah.
Yep.
Kind of gives them a way to reprint cards.
Gives it a very like you were saying earlier, like the list kind of feel.
yeah, yeah, it
Um,
does feel like the list a little bit.
Where they can just take that slot to
Magic.
reprint any kind of like old, staples or anything like that.
Mhm.
Really, we only know 1 card so far, but we are confirmed to be getting a Tunic reprint.
Yes, which is huge.
And I think
very very
Kudos.
especially as
Yeah,
the
Kudos.
game
love that.
continues to grow, is a really good thing. Like it's still gonna be that rare kind of chess piece that
Mhm.
like coveted, sought after, but the fact that you can still open it in these packs
Yeah.
is awesome.
Yeah, I will say too, this is kind of the first time I've felt that Fab is doing some things that Magic are, doing
Mhm.
with the expanded slot and the shuffle, crack, and play thing. That feels a lot like Jumpstart,
Yeah.
The art also, I initially was like, oh, this is just Kamigawa, the neon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
With the, I'm like, and then you start to kind of learn more about it. I'm like, God, this feels a lot like, Magic's. And I'm not saying it in a bad way. I guess I think
Yeah.
it's actually very cool design, and a lot of people are going to love that crack shuffle play thing. I know
Yeah.
we're going
It'll
to
make it
we're gonna do
yeah.
it in the shop.
It'll make it easier. They want to make it almost more affordable,
Mhm.
being cheaper instead of having 6 packs
Yeah.
for a full sealed event and building a sealed deck. You get a lot more players out of boxes, saves the shop,
Mhm.
more
Yeah.
boxes for buying.
I'm not trying to sound like negative ass on it. My initial reaction was kind of, I'm going to open it regardless. 'cause,
Yeah.
I think it'll be a very interesting
Oh,
limited
guys, If
environment.
you happen to pull any of the marbles, I know you're a collecting man, but come on.
Gotta set up the mech
You
player.
can step into my office, Cliff. You can step into my office.
So, back on Bright Light, I think a lot of people have glossed over this, but we did also get the name of a brand new mechanic, in addition to Boost, that's coming to mechs, called Crank.
Yes.
And they very specifically mention the 30 items in the set along with the mechanic. So
Probably has something to do
We're
with
getting
items.
30 fucking
What do you guys-
items?
What do you guys think?
Dad and all about to go burn.
All the items are what pique his
Boys,
interest.
This is not good. That means that there's gonna be 30 cold foils that you're probably gonna be collecting.
That'll be. I mean, they did that with Everfest with the potions and the talismans
not?
and all the amulets,
I
which
can see it.
give the mechs some bling.
No,
I mean-
no. The reason I care about this is because your boy is probably gonna buy them.
oh.
Well, they already kind of did that with the hyperdrivers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are all rare.
They look so
That could be
good.
just a hint into what they're gonna do and give us a bunch of items.
Ben's gonna have a whole binder filled with each one about 5 times. So
So what do you guys-
Cold foil Teclo pounder.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
The one thing
That'd
I was
be-
gonna say that's kind of unfortunate is Dromai unfortunately hasn't really seen like a good meta for her. So with the clearance of Oldham,
Wait,
this was
wait,
gonna be a
whoa. We all just looked at each other and kind of
what?
Dromai's been like dominating or
Are you
having
like
a very
a
good
half
share.
hour behind
meta.
in the conversation?
But with the release of this mech set, do you know who Dromai hates playing?
Aggro, but that's one of the heroes. You don't know. We don't know how they're built yet. I mean, she could be playable into the item one. Who
I suppose
knows?
Dash does probably stomp Dromai though. Huh?
Yeah. Just because of the
It's
aggro
not
aspect
even
of her.
fair, 'cause you just run all of your red throttles, your maximum velocities, your payload, so you have plenty of poppers, and
Well,
you're
I-
able to go wide enough that if you have to sacrifice an attack to kill a dragon.
Oh, I suppose you do
It's
play a
not
good
a big
share of
deal.
hoppers if you're playing maximum.
And
and
if
stuff.
you gain tempo every time they try to drag out their dragons and they actually get some on the board and you allow some, you're so wide to the point where you're going, attack at a dragon, attack at a dragon,
Yeah.
attack them once you clear their
She's-
dragons.
she's still
And
the
since you've
reason that I
boosted
have
3
the
times,
Equiplasma
maximum
Pistol
velocity at
Fight
them for
No,
10.
yeah, you're still
Yeah.
great.
You're still pushing so much damage.
Yeah.
It's that same kind of ninja thing where it's like, hey, like my mask, I'm just gonna hit your dragon, here's a big attack, what are you gonna do? And then Ancestral Empowerment, now I draw 2.
Yep.
So I think we'll see that kind of similar play pattern with the mechs, even where it's like boost, kill 2 dragons, and then even outside of maximum, here's, some other attack. They have so many that at that point in the chain are coming in for
I've
6,
been a big
7.
fan of the Overblast recently. That card's been a house for me.
Overblast is a great card, and I the one that kind of helped you into that, right? It's just another finishing card,
Yeah.
like maximum velocity.
You were the little voice
It's like a
that
mini
went over
maximum.
that.
Yeah, it's so
So
good.
what does
Yellows in.
Overblast do?
So the red comes in for 5, yellow for 4, blue for 3. And what that one does is it gets +1 for every time you boost it on a combat chain.
Okay. So if
it's
you
a 2
boost
comp.
twice.
What I do is I run the 3 yellows and use it as like a secondary maximum velocity. So it's just giving me another big attack at the end of a chain because I boost 3 times. 2 for 6, 2 for 8 if I boost 4,
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
It's just another big attack that I get to put down at the end of a chain.
exactly. It's such a good finishing card, and I don't know why more don't. I understand the dominate with like overload and stuff or payload, but I think just pushing that damage at the end of each turn just makes a world of difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for the most part, I don't run into the issue of really needing dominate, just because
No.
towards the end of the game, I'm able to throw 25 a turn. So,
Exactly, and you're going so wide that you can potentially leak their cards out of their hand while they're blocking and still push damage
Yeah.
towards the end. So it's
Yep.
It's so good. And that's kind of like the Fi aspect in it. That's why I'm excited for this new Dash, because her hero ability isn't really insanely viable throughout the whole game. I mean, you get to start with an item, but
it's like a vanilla text box. Really.
Exactly.
But it gives you that strong start to really
true.
just take the tempo early.
Which really gives you the thematically is what a mech should be, right? You
Yeah.
start really, really strong with all your steam, and then you're just
Yeah.
all steamed out at the
steamed
end.
out at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
I
that
mean-
analogy. That's
I
amazing.
think there's a reason you see a lot of them start with the Teclo Pounder,
Yeah.
and it just having that +2 on your first 3 attacks through the course of the game really shifts that tempo in your
Yeah.
favor.
Let's circle back to the crank before we close the bright
Before we
lights up.
forget
Yeah,
about it,
yeah.
yeah.
Let's kind of do predictions on what we think crank will be.
Let's start with you, Cliff. What's your speculation on this crank mechanic?
So here, let me look up the card real quick. But there is a card called Crankshaft.
That's
Yeah, but
it's an
that's like
action
an
that
attack
kind of
right?
boosts, but I feel like Crank might be almost like, not to take it away from you here, Cliff, but it's almost feels like you can crank up your equipment or like
Or,
like
it's
your
very
items.
specifically
So,
items.
yeah, it's
Is it a
Think of
way
it like
to-
a freaking a race car toy where
Yeah.
you're remember the
Winding
ones you
it
wind
up
it up,
and-
right? You crank it up a couple times and
you
you're
think they're all inventors. You're cranking on your
That's what I
equipment.
mean,
What
right.
if you're building up your equipment? You know, like
Let's
fixing.
Let's let Cliff read
Cliff, continue
Crankshaft.
that train of thought though, because I'm looking at Crankshaft now, and you might be kind of onto something with that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm pretty sure the new Crank is going to be something with that, where it's going to be the manipulation of steam counters, especially if they are adding 30.
What is
items.
read
It's probably
Crankshaft,
gonna
Cliff?
Want some way to manipulate steam counters.
Do
So
you?
Crank, I imagine that we're going to see a reprint for the Tekla-Vasson's workshop and some of those earlier Met cards just to help get them out.
Cliff, will you read Crankshaft for us?
Okay, yeah. Let me pull it up again.
His
God
mind's
damn.
just going a million miles a minute with all this mech stuff. He's like, I don't know what.
Mine's all
I don't know what
cranked up,
to-
man. It's all cranked up. Oh.
I was trying to figure out if the Nitro Mechanoid was a dash specialization or not. But anyways, Crankshaft. When Crankshaft is banished to pay a boost cost, put a steam counter on a hyperdriver you control. It's an attack action.
Yes.
Mhm.
So it wouldn't be as shocking if Crankshaft was like, as an additional cost, you get to like do something with steam counters or some.
When you banish it or something, you can crank an item to put a counter on it, something like that.
I think that'd be
Yeah.
a really cool way for mechs to kind of utilize their.
Yeah, it's extra
banner
value
zone
on a
and, like,
banish. It
boost.
gives you
Yeah.
a resource or a whatever, something on one of your items. You're not
Yeah.
necessarily losing out on that card, you know?
Also, wouldn't be too far out of the realm of possibility for LSS to kind of give us a sneak peek at that mechanic in a card like
Yeah.
that. I mean,
Oh, yeah. Look at it. Look at
That's- I
how
mean-
many times they've done that
yeah.
in cards.
It's amazing how they give you sneak peeks, and I kind of think that, you know, with the
Yeah,
sneak
oh,
peeks,
boys.
we really need to just look more into the game.
What's
After
up,
those
Cliff?
happen, because we can kind of predict
Decipher
what's
some
going
stuff,
on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Crack the code.
So I looked up the Nitro Mechanoid construct. It is not a dash specialization, so the other mechanologist heroes will be able to use it. And I was just thinking how beautiful a pairing it sounds to get a 6 temper thing you can attack with overpower out on top of having your 3 or 4 temper equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just become like
You become
freaking
a
wall
tank.
or a
Yeah,
castle.
you
of-
are a
of
tank.
armor.
That's, I mean, yeah. Oh my god. I get such an Iron Man vibe from Tekla-Vason. I mean,
Yeah.
look at the Evo Steel Soul. Like, does that not look like some Hulkbuster kind of shit?
Like
Oh, absolutely.
if
Absolutely
you've
does.
ever played Fallout 4, it gives me the Brother of Steel
Oh,
vibe.
sure.
With,
Yeah.
with the power suits and you're running
I
around.
feel old because I started in Fallout 3.
No, I played
The
Fallout
original
3.
Xbox
Absolutely,
360.
absolutely.
Oh man.
Fallout New Vegas, but I mean,
Oh, that game. I don't. Let's not talk about that game, dude. I can't even shoot a rat in that game. The fucking
Cliff will
aiming
go
is
on
so
for
terrible.
hours about Fallout
Yeah.
2
We
if we...
played that game approximately 12 times.
but I think that's kind of what drew Cliff into the mechs, and this will draw him into this, you know, tank, and he's
Oh, dude, it's gonna be unreal. If I honestly don't top 8 at one of these big events this set, I should probably just like drop the game.
no,
Oh, shush.
All right, well that's a good segue for us to finish up and get
Yeah,
to
we gotta do our armor here.
do our
in a few
armory
minutes.
soon. Get into our listener questions here. So
Yeah, I think we got. We can take a question or two.
Yeah, I got a couple on here.
Yeah.
Kellen had mentioned how with Icelander and Oldham LLing, the success of Ira and Kasai kind of
Oh, in the Blitz
in
meta.
the skirmish
in the
season.
skirmish.
Yep. Kind of going off of that, and he's definitely right. That is kind of probably what did it. You know,
Yes.
bringing Ira back into the fold, sort of.
Yes.
She's always been more of like a mid-rangey kind of ninja,
Yeah.
hasn't she?
Yeah, and Blitz, that extra damage though throughout a game is
Yeah.
huge.
Is huge.
Huge.
It's automatic one every turn. You know,
I mean, yeah, you're getting an extra
crown
probably
and your
6 or
rampart
7,
and
yeah.
and whatever is just blocking that making that not
every turn.
matter.
Yep.
Plus Kasai into Icelander was pretty bad too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You and I've had some battles.
Yes.
Yes, it's
Um,
kind of exciting to see Kasai come back though. As
Yeah.
former Kasai.
For sure. Dylan.
One of the stronger blitz decks in my mind.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty strong
I mean,
right now.
Blood on Her Hands just lets you take
It's a
that.
great card.
I mean, even if you've lost tempo for like a turn, it just lets you take it back.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
It's a great
Blood
card.
on Her Hands is almost an automatic win if you play it right.
It's a
Pretty close.
phenomenal value card.
It's a great card if you save your courage, even if you don't have tempo and you need to block out 9 damage one turn with 3 cards. You can just Blood on Her Hands, 6 copper, crack your courage, and it's a whole free turn, pushing 12 damage, 15 damage. It's
Yeah, Kasai seems really good right now. I
It's
mean, she was
good.
good even with those heroes in the format. If you dodge
Exactly.
that, you just winning.
You win.
Winning armor.
Absolutely.
You know who also seems sneaky good right now?
Who?
Attack Action Bolton, baby.
oh boy.
Here we go. I was like, going to say generic Bolton or
We
something.
just got some- Lumina Lance just adds another playset of E-Strike into Bolton attack action decks. It's insane.
Yeah, I will
That's-
say it
you're
is
not
good.
wrong about that.
I will say it is good. I played one of our locals, Brad, that shows up every once in a while. He was on Bolton, I was on Kasai, and it was a bloodbath. It was absolutely.
It gives you an extra way to utilize that soul if you're stuck not being able to like banish to give things go again or something
Yeah.
like that.
True.
Yeah.
And the new
And I
arms
think-
help.
Any help that especially Bolton can get in utilizing those cards is needed.
Absolutely. And the new arms definitely help. That's honestly a scary card in Blitz.
Agreed.
Being able to pay 1 on whatever swing, and if it hits, you get to gain a courage and push another damage each turn.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Turns
That
on all your go
Turns
again.
on all your
Yeah.
go again. It's great.
Kind of going off of that, what Kellen had said, Dylan asks, which hero in Blitz will LL next? You want to bring up the leaderboard, Bailey? Bring that shit up,
let's
Bailey?
bring up.
That's pull that shit up,
Yeah,
Bailey.
pull that shit up, Bailey.
Datadol, I'm telling you, it's Datadol. With the new
Hey, Cliff,
meta
hush. It's
section
not
bonus.
Datadol.
She's only got 498 points to go.
I think yeah.
I mean, at the top of the leaderboard right now, we got Kano. But
I was going to say, I
mean,
bet it's going to be something
with
like
those Blitz sideboard changes potentially coming to these events in the future, like where does that put Kano?
what do we got, like, for the top 4?
We got Kano, Ira
Ira's
at
already up
345,
there. Oh, wow.
9 behind. We got Kasai at
Oh, look at that. So
300.
those two must have really done well this
And
season.
Dory. Dory 2 in top
what do we
4.
got? Yeah, Ira's already taken 25 points this season.
The
Kasai
classic.
22.
The classic warrior ninja meta.
Yeah.
In Blitz.
Yeah.
Man. Gosh.
Ira's scary.
I would say probably Kasai. If I had to guess out of that kind of mix of heroes,
I think
I agree.
I would say Kasai might be the next one to LL.
I would honestly, if we're between those two, I would probably give it to Ira.
Yeah.
I think Ira just has the ability to be a little more consistent with the kind of damage that she's pushing out through the game. Kasai, like we already kind of talked about, she's really relying on those blood on her hands
That is
turns
true.
to close out the game.
If you're not hitting them, you're kind of screwed.
You're kind of reliant on your armor a little more with Kasai too, aren't you? So like when you are running stuff like AB, it kind of you have to
It hurts.
subvert some stuff. Whereas like Ira,
Yeah,
is
I
more-
mean, you really
plays
can't
on the face of her cards rather than like on her armor.
You
And I feel like
can't
the
sub
matches-
out the chess piece in Kasai.
Nope.
Like that just
That
That's
turns
what
on a
breaks
whole
the deck.
turn.
Really, the only ones you can are the head and the legs.
Well, no, I don't even know. I'd almost in Kasai, I'd run the legs over like let's say the arms because
Or
games
you
do
just
go
run a
long.
single saber and a lantern.
You could, you could, and just do over pump. But I would
Dylan
say
with a Kadachi and a lantern all the time against
Oh,
me.
yeah.
A sword and a freaking
AB5,
lamp.
AB5.
Sword and a lamp. It's like, yeah, jeez.
I would say the legs though, Valiant Dynamos. Kasai's so easy to gain go again, and games do go turn 6.
That card in
That's
Blitz, I
6
think, is
life.
very strong.
That's
Yeah.
6 life in Blitz. That is insane off of one card.
Yeah, and I mean,
I've-
with how consistently Kasai can swing twice in a turn with her swords,
It's-
like you're
it's
getting those back
beautiful.
up every turn.
You can get 9 life out of, or you can get 9 block out of 2 cards while still having your 2 arcane. If you're playing like Vincent, I mean, if you're playing Kano, you want 3 arcane. You
Yep.
have to have
At
3
least,
arcane.
at least.
Vincent, you can get away with 1 or 2. Just because arcane.
You just need the
is
one, really. They're just pinging you with the rune chance.
Yeah.
You really only need one.
all separate instances. So
Unless
you
they're running like Rosetta.
Yeah.
Rosetta's You gotta have.
And a
two.
lot of them
Yeah.
actually aren't on Rosetta.
I've seen a lot of lists not run Rosetta. Yeah,
Flail.
And I don't know if
Yeah.
it's people just prepping for Briar to LL or.
could be.
I really, in my opinion, like it's just not the most viable weapon on her.
yeah,
True.
yeah.
She just doesn't
Flail-
have that
Flail-
ease of go again.
Flail could be right where you want to be. You know.
Yeah.
All right.
Cliff, what do you think for which hero should LL next in Blitz? Or
So, I'm honestly inclined to side with Bailey with Ira going.
oh, look at that, we got a
Okay.
split,
Yeah,
2 and 2.
Good split.
Cool. Well, here let's leave it to you guys. What do you guys think? Maybe if we could get maybe some comments or something. We got
we
a
can-
split in
I think
here.
we
We
can
got
put a-
2 Kasai,
Pull up with it
Yeah.
too, and
2 Ira.
Yeah.
Which of those heroes do you guys think will LL next in Blitz?
If
Let's
you have
move on.
if
Oops,
you have a different
go ahead, Josh.
insight, drop it in the comments.
Absolutely.
If
We'd
you think
love to
somebody
hear any
else will
questions.
win, we want to hear your comments here. So
but
Yeah.
I really I don't think it's gonna be Kano, especially if these
No.
new Blitz sideboard changes happen.
Yeah, he could be knocked down a peg, I think.
It's I mean just even sideboarding in 2 Oasis respites in Blitz.
all right,
Really
Grizzly
stops
Bear.
Kano.
What's our next? What's,
Shout out,
what's our next question here? What do we got?
Carter
We're gonna
asks.
see adult Valda.
Carter asks, what ban card do you think is the most justified? I think that's a great question. I think it's pretty easy for me. No, I don't.
Yeah, I don't
I don't
think
agree with
so.
Belittle. I still think Belittle should probably be in the format.
If we're talking back time, Winter's Whale seemed like it was a great one, but not at the same time. I would say Hypothermia is one of the better band cards.
The first thing I thought when I saw Bright Lights, unban Hypothermia, baby. Come on, please, for the love of God, just unban.
I think we're on the
Hypothermia.
same page there, but if I'm gonna have to go into a field of
Man.
megs,
Just eats me
give
alive.
me my
Yeah, that matchup
Hypothermia
is already
back.
terrible.
It's
as a
so
Racelander
bad.
player. Yeah.
I want that. Like, you got your Blizzards, but again, that's putting too much choice on your
Yeah.
opponent. And
Yep.
if they want to just pay that extra cost to keep going, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
Whereas Hypothermia is just a hard, like, nope, you're done.
Yeah.
Especially in Icelander, when you can kind of choose when to play it out and, like,
It's sort of
when
like a
to shut
time
them
walk.
off.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just take a turn off sometimes with that card when you play that in
Yeah.
the right spot.
And I mean,
I would say maybe like Awakening though for my pick.
that's a good card to be.
Awakening seemed.
Yeah.
Were you guys playing back when like
Yes.
people would do the pulverize? It was kind of
Scarvo.
after Pulverize got printed though. Really, is
Scarvo.
when it became a problem because you would Awakening into the Pulverize for free,
Yeah.
and you could like
It was
It was insane.
If you
Like,
Awakening,
the value you get
it
on
was
that
just
turn,
too much value, especially
and
for
it was
a
pretty
Guardian.
easy. It was an easy line to do.
If
right?
you had
Yeah.
less life in Starvo and you Awakening and you fuse it somehow because you can fuse right away off of his turn, you
Did
still
you
have
even
your
need
ice.
to use it though for it to? I don't think.
Well, you get double. Hear me
Sure,
out. You
sure.
get
Yeah,
double,
but you
so then
don't
you
even need
Yeah,
that.
that's
crippling crush. You fuse at the beginning, crippling crush, pulverize out of your arsenal in the end. Are you kidding me? That's all
It's-
free.
Josh is just thinking of the ceiling. He's
It's
like,
like,
"Come on, baby,
Come on,
break
that
this."
was
Yeah.
The
disgusting.
three of us.
I did it
all
once
built-
and I about freaked out. It was amazing.
The three of us, just to put it into perspective how busted this card is. Tyler and Josh, you guys both have built Living Legend Starvos. I
Yes.
built Living Legend Oldhim. What is probably the first card that all three of us put into that deck?
Awakening,
Awakening.
most likely. I forgot it when I played you. And I accidentally left my Endless Winters in instead of swapping in my Crippling Crushes, so that was my big mistake. I realized it after I played it. I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Awakening is a great card, I would say, for being justified banned. It's so good. It's so disgusting. I think Hypothermia needs to be unbanned
Yeah.
with the new set coming out.
We
it's
all
a
know
tough
Dylan
one.
wants Stubbies unbanned too.
Stubbies! Let's go!
That might be an action. That one might be
Could
justified too.
maybe,
You could get like 6 or 7 damage out of that thing.
Yeah.
yeah.
In 5.
Do you know what one was really justified though?
What? Oh boy.
The Seeds of Agony or the Bloodsheath Skeleton Band?
Okay.
Oh, Skeleton.
Skeleton.
Skeleton, absolutely.
Yeah,
call.
that could be.
I don't know about seeds, but
No, actually, you know what? I think it might be Skeleton. That card
Skeleton is
yeah.
good.
is what it like fundamentally actually does is like no other card.
No.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
like
It's
getting
not.
20 resources in this game, you
Yeah.
can't do anywhere else.
But hear me out. What if we took that ability and just put it on a card?
Well, they did.
Yeah.
I see a lot of Roomblade players looking at the card and scoffing, though. I don't know.
What is it called? Bask of the Vast Beyond, I think it is. The Viscera.
Something like that.
It's-
It's just
But now you get to draw it. 3 times.
But I think not relying.
But it's not as viable.
You don't really. There's not
You
like
don't
3
have
times
it
throughout
when
the
you
course of a
want it.
game.
That's the
True.
big thing.
Yep.
Unless you're going like a mid-range, almost OTK kind of big attack build where you're just building up rune chance and blocking the entire time for your 3 spell blade or your
then,
9th
so it's
blade.
a chance that you don't draw it. With Bloodshade Skeleton, you had it there, you had it usable.
Ready to go. Yeah.
So, I think we've got time for one more question.
So I got 2 more.
We got 2 more.
I got 2 more, but this one's quick. This one can just be kind of.
Danadol, next question.
I got Nathan with how old is adult Guinness?
Yeah,
What a
okay.
great
So
question.
look at the art for young Guinness.
Yeah.
He does not look like a young man.
No,
he does
He-
not.
Like no disrespect, Guinness, but you're no spring chicken.
No.
I mean, well, we got old's got to be pushing 80.
He's gonna be in like a walker in his adult
Yeah.
card.
I mean, it's the same with
He's
old
an old
him, though.
merchant.
Like, how old is young old him?
You
Maybe
see all
he-
that shit on his back.
maybe
Doesn't he
he
have like
gets
a
a-
pack?
Well, maybe he
Yeah.
gets a donkey ally that fucking comes in and kicks some ass. You never know. Fucking A. You see those merchants walking on donkeys?
Because he has to scoot around in a mechanized wheelchair.
Oh, God.
Yeah, look, isn't that like a huge pack he's carrying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
I
his
mean,
back
okay.
is not holding up.
He's already pushing
He's
60.
he's definitely in the walker in his adult card, dude. Oh,
He's
no.
pushing 60, 70 in that young.
Oh wow.
I mean, he's got to be at
oh, that's
least.
funny. Yeah.
He might be
so
the longest living man in race.
consensus answered. I don't know, very old, or super old. Okay, he's just gonna be super old.
That's.
if
I
they
think
give us an
Guinness
adult.
has just kind of been there since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
I mean, look at him.
Come on, LSS. Give us a promo like Yorick. Give us just give us a promo.
all withered.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
There we go. We might have our first very old hero.
Yes. Very old.
50
Oh,
life.
dude,
I love
that's-
it.
That's good. Great question.
3
Nathan.
intellect. He's kind of getting a little. He's losing it a little.
Got to bring a little joy into the questions here.
Yeah, for sure. We have this last question here. This is a pretty good one too. Brad asks, well, he it was kind of a long-winded question, but in short, he asked about the difference in counterplay in Fab and Magic. How Magic will print cards a lot of times specifically for matchups. You'll bring in like your sideboard's filled with cards that will shut other decks down. Whereas in Fab, counterplay is much more in like play style. There are cards, obviously. I kind of listed a few that are Fab's version of counterplay. We have like Negate.
Yep.
That's
Wizard
an
card.
actual counter, right?
Yep.
And
I don't
when's the
see it's
last time
played.
you've seen Negate
No,
played?
I
though?
know it. Actually, you know what? In our last Pro or RTN seasons, someone negated my Art of War.
Oh.
It was round 2 against the Kano player.
Yes.
What's
the shop owner.
Yeah,
He's
gosh, I forget his name too. Great guy. The guy's just an awesome dude.
Dumpster Cat.
Yeah.
If you're in Minnesota, check that out.
Yeah,
they're
shout
gonna
out to those guys.
they're
It's
gonna
about
make a
to-
pizza parlor card shop.
Yeah, it's gonna be
is the
amazing.
hope. So
Anyways, yeah, he negated my Art.
I was about
of
to
War.
say that's been my pipe dream
Yep.
ever since I
You
picked
know, he
up
did it
like
in an
Kano and
RTN.
Icelander. I'm like, I just want to negate
One
one
Yep.
person's Art of War.
Yep.
Like, I don't even care if I win the game after that.
Another card I thought of, Chains of Eminence is kind of just a shutdown card. It
True.
specifically
Yeah.
names the card. It's
That's
just for one turn,
some
though,
play in
right?
Guardians, didn't it?
I don't know. There was a time when people were playing that card for some reason. I remember.
I can't.
I can't remember exactly why. It might have been because of Chain, actually. Yeah, you'd like name seeds or something.
Yep.
Or I don't
Yep.
know what people were doing. Snatch was another one I remember people were playing specifically to counter Chain.
Yep. It didn't really.
So there are Van Braces too. That's actually a card
Yes.
that they printed. It feels like to
It
just,
feels like
hard
specifically
counter
to hold
Crown.
or to counter the Crown of Seeds.
yeah, which is weird. You know, it was kind of the
They're
first
right
time.
on the cusp of it being banned.
I know, right? It's like it didn't
Well,
really have its
I
time
don't even
to
think
shine.
it was legal
but-
in the format when they printed Van Brace.
No, it was. I think. Yeah, it was.
Now with
You got to see it against
no,
Crown.
not Blitz.
You got to
Not
see it
in
against
Blitz,
the Crown.
though.
The Assassin players were doing that.
No, we could honestly see more negate play, especially if Prism comes out of the wet work because of all her instants that she
Yeah.
does. So you could be
That's-
negating all those.
I think negate stops at a certain point, though. I think it's only certain. ones
It's an
that you
instant with
can-
cost 1. It has to be cost 1, I think, if that's what you're asking. Anyways, though, he basically went on to kind of say, like, what's the difference and what we think is a better style of designing counterplay. The kind of the hard counter like Magic does. They'll print cards that like Leyline of Sanctity. I don't know if you
Yep.
guys are familiar with
Yeah,
that
the
card.
ley lines in
Yep,
general.
start the
just kinda
game,
like-
your opponent just dies, if you're a burn player. Had it happened to me many times. It's very, very feel bad in
It is.
a high stakes tournament. And in Fab, it feels much more natural. Your counterplay does much more play style,
Yes.
much more pilot
Ma-
skill.
Definitely pilot skill and matchup. Honestly,
Yeah,
it's
and there are cards like some of the ones we listed, Sink Below, Sigil. I mean, there
Yeah.
are some cards that you bring in to Oasis Respite to counter decks, but
Very specifically with cost 1 or less, though.
yep,
So
that's
like,
what-
what, but what is also rewind? What is rewind again?
see, Rewind gives it back to him, though.
oh, I didn't even think of
Oh
it.
yeah. Then that hero also gains
Non-attack
one extra
action
point
card.
or action point, so they gain it back. I don't know.
All the counterplay seems weak, but
Yeah.
I think it seems that way because the game is played in turn cycles. It's not
I
just this
think
overpowering
that kinda
thing.
counterplay
If you
isn't
think
their
of
focus.
counterplay
Yeah.
As being for Flesh and Blood, like in the middle of the game, it's a little bit weak. My take on it is the counterplay is having that sideboard where you can put in like your Phantasm Poppers, Command and Conquer for your nature matchups. I think that's kind of the counterplay in this.
Yeah, I can see. I mean,
Maybe-
sideboard
maybe
is the
not taking
counterplay.
So
Yep.
much place during the game, but with the preparation and forethought for the sideboard.
I just think like the difference though between like your sideboard being your counterplay is it is still very much about more about pilot skill, I'd say, in Fab than
Yes.
just drawing your ley line or something in Magic. Whereas like like I said, you can bring in cards that will legitimately shut down a deck. One
Yeah.
card,
Yeah.
And if they don't draw their counter to your counter, then the game's done.
Yeah, they're toast.
So I think to answer Brad's question, long story short, is that I think Fab's got it kind of figured out. I would like to see some hard counter cards though. I mean, maybe ways to get rid of them as well, or just like they'd have to balance it in a way. Maybe the turn cycle I think helps in balancing. Shutting a turn down, like you said with Hypothermia, you might take their turn away, but that's for one turn.
one turn.
You still have to,
Yeah, you
still have
are
to-
still going to have to deal with what they were going to do.
Yeah.
You're just sort of delaying it.
Yeah.
And maybe you are able to disrupt that on your turn. Maybe you're not. But
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks everyone for the questions. That was awesome to see our chat so active and
Yeah,
everyone
absolutely.
seemed like they had some really good questions. Another thing I just wanted to say before we wrap things up is our episode 1 was kind of rough. The sound was
Yes.
pretty bad. We are gonna work to try to figure that out as best we can. We're gonna hold off probably on the video for a little while just to figure out the audio
focus
side.
on
Yeah.
nailing the audio
Yep,
side of things.
yep.
And I think we kind of tried to jump into some of that a little too
Well, a lot of
quickly.
it, I will say a lot of it too was because Cliff was in town. We were
Yeah.
like, Cliff's
Yeah.
in town. He lives 4 hours away, so let's just get this. And there was so much news, and it was so the skirmish was happening
Yeah.
at our shop,
Yeah.
and there was just seemed like a good time to.
Try to
Yeah,
try
it
it
seemed
out.
like a really good time to get it out. I think we rushed into it a little
Yeah.
bit, and there's definitely some takeaways that we've taken from that to improve the quality.
We'll definitely get back into the video aspect. We'll be putting stuff up on our YouTube channel like gameplays, and we'll be doing streams and such.
Yeah, none
but-
of that's going away.
But we'll get back to the more video podcast portion once we get everything else figured out. And we definitely want to try to get you guys as a new players to come and watch. Look up Flesh and Blood on YouTube and see our podcast and hear us talk about it and see us visually talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big point of emphasis for us,
And not to say anything else, but look at my cool ass background I set up here. It took me
Yeah,
hours.
focus on all
Hey,
your
come
cool
on.
Legos, man.
Come on. I got a cool ass background. But no, we absolutely appreciate you guys. We will have all our stuff in the show notes. Bailey, do you have all our information?
social media in the description.
We'll be dropping we can drop some polls on the questions we want you guys to answer on Twitter or as X, some may say. Otherwise, we'll drop our Discord, our community one, for you guys to hop in if you want to join and ask us more questions. We're pretty active all the time on Discord, so we're there to answer questions and be there for you guys. But we really appreciate you guys listening. Now we're going to go have some fun at our skirmish.
Yeah, Ty's
Go
got
let it
an
tear.
armory to be at in a minute.
Yeah, I know. I told everyone I'm going to be a little late, but I know they'd wait for me.
But thank you for joining us on episode 2 of Big Deck Energy, a little BDE talk here. But Thank you guys, and we'll talk to you soon. See you next week.
We'll
See
catch
ya.
you next week.
Peace.